Do you believe in ghosts? Do you believe if you break a mirror, you will have bad luck? Do you believe in reincarnation? Do you believe that the moon's position may influence people's behavior? Do you believe that witches exist? Do you believe that there's a heaven and hell? Do you believe that there's a devil? These are only a couple of questions coming from a tool that is used by scientists around the world to measure paranormal belief. But what is paranormal belief? What areas does it have? Do people in our modern lives still believe in ghosts, witchcraft, or power of amulets and rituals? These are the questions I want to find answers to in this episode. Welcome to Mysterium Tremendum, our new streaming service available in English, covering topics of the paranormal, occult, magic, witchcraft, and demonology. My name is Balazs Polyanki, co-founder and research director of HSPRC, Hungarian Society for Paranormal Research and Consulting. For more information about what we do, please visit our website at hsprc.org. Today, I'm joined by another investigator of our group, Saddie LaMort. Hi Saddie, how are you doing today? And how can you catch paranormal beliefs in the networks of people you are part of?
Hello everyone, I am Saddie LaMort and it's a great honor to be here. I'm so happy to talk to an international community. The way I see superstition, paranormal beliefs, rituals around me. Well, I am a practicing witch. I have been into occultism and witchcraft and magic for more than 30 years. And to most people around me, these things are real. They do consider anomalies real, and witchcraft, magic explains those anomalies. Let's say you are in a circle, you do a ritual to Hecate, and that's something that you are doing. Now, suddenly there is an anomaly. Let's say you hear a dog barking coming from right next to you. So the barking is in the room, but there is no dog present. Now, to a paranormal investigator who does his job in the scientific way, that would be two separate things. One is something happening, the person doing something in the circle, and an anomaly is happening, which is the dog bark. The dog bark should be examined. Can it be replicated? What sort of dog bark is it? What pitch is it? Can it be heard in different wavelengths? Was there something else present, like heat signature change, electromagnetic impulses, anything like that? And at the end, we would have a whole shitload of data, but that would say that, okay, we have all this data, we don't know what it is, we know that this was present. Now, someone who is doing a ritual for Hecate will hear that anomaly and say, oh, okay, I was heard by Hecate. Hecate's sacred animal is the dog, and therefore we have a connection, which is a better way to understand an interaction between the world and ourselves, for practical reasons. Of course, not for scientific reasons, but for practical reasons, it's very efficient. This is what I see every day. Also, some people do believe that ghosts exist, that harmful spells exist, And the fact that they can protect themselves, they can make charms, they can make spells against any sort of psychic attack, let's call it that, that makes them put their mind at ease more. And if we are looking at bad luck, and then they can protect themselves against bad luck, they feel that they can make themselves more lucky, which puts them in a different mindset, which is also very useful.
There's a scientific paper in front of me, which was published in the International Journal of Transpersonal Studies in 2024. According to the authors, paranormal beliefs have served adaptive functions throughout our evolution. They helped us survive as individuals and as groups as well. Saddie, can you please share your opinion and tell me a couple of examples of how participating in witchcraft or magic can support an individual or a group in a constructive way?
Well, here we would have to divide genetic magic from witchcraft as a Gardnerian, practice it. Generic magic helps people in constructive ways by, for example, giving them access to their own subconscious. For example, the placebo effect. They will have a better way to put information in their hindbrain where they can achieve an enhanced healing factor. Of course, it's not as efficient as conventional medicine, but still, placebos are fairly efficient. And it doesn't even matter if you know or not that you have received placebo. The placebo effect has an efficiency of approximately 70-75% extra than to not having the placebo. And having access to that is already very, very good. Now, another thing with witchcraft is that you cannot be a witch alone in Gardnerian Wicca, which means that we have each other. So there is a group, there is already interaction between the group, friendships between the group. And because we are a mystery cult, we have all gone through the same mysteries, which make us sort of understand each other way better. We also have our own symbolism. It's pretty much the same as with Freemasons or Thelemites. They also have their own system of symbols, and having a system of symbols make communication between members of a group way more efficient. So there are many reasons why these things are useful. And also there was something that really stuck in my mind, and that's using your intuition. Now, what we have to understand is that we humans evolved to be very efficient predators, but we were also prey. So we had to avoid the larger predators that were more efficient than us and that were hunting us. Now, what we had to do for that is develop senses that are beyond our own comprehension. We do see patterns. We do see a lot of connections that we don't even realize, which is very cool. Now, intuition is basically your brain gathering a whole bunch of information from what you see, what you smell, what you hear, and then there are all these other senses that we did not even realize that we have yet, because we have no way of describing those sensations. But intuition will gather the information and dump it in your brain. Let's say it brain. And then your intuition will tell you what to do and will try to give you the best way to proceed. And this is another thing that magic and witchcraft does. We have symbols onto which we can project our intuition. For example, if I am using a fortune telling device, let's say a teacup or a crystal ball, that in itself is nothing. What I'm doing is I am communicating with someone and I am listening to them. I will hear them. I will hear trembles in their voice. I will see their body language, even to a level that I consciously will not understand what they are doing, but I will have a sense. I smell them. They will react to what I'm saying, and there will be pheromones involved. There will be hormones involved. So their eyes, their pupils will dilate in certain ways, and I won't even notice with my conscious brain, but my mind does collect all this data, and I will be able to process all those data by just allowing my mind to work while I am looking at something, let's say, shiny or interesting. If I'm using tea leaves or coffee grounds, then, or even if I'm looking at the clouds, then my mind will find shapes which are connected to all the information that I have gathered, and it will try to communicate with my conscious mind what is going on. So all these things are very constructive and very useful in magic.
Referring to different sources, the article defines paranormal belief in several ways. For example, as the ability to establish patterns of unrelated elements, or it's a proactive attitude that implies that the belief that our actions will have some positive outcome and it will bring relief. Other sources mention that it was adaptive in the past, but these beliefs may be maladaptive in our current civilization. Research also shows that paranormal beliefs are very common among current population. According to the results, half of people have one or more paranormal beliefs, and about half of them claim that they had an actual paranormal experience. 2 years ago, in 2022, survey data coming from 80 countries showed that belief in witchcraft is very common around the world, averaging around 30% of the population. Saddie, in your opinion, what makes witchcraft and belief in it so popular today?
Oh, that comes from way back. So what happened is that there were two world wars, and people who started those wars and who lived through those wars were very strict, very uh, conservative, because this is what makes a war break out. People being conservative, people being deathly afraid of foreigners, people being deathly afraid for their own well-being, for their own wealth. So these people lived through wars, and of course there was the trauma, the PTSD of all the things that happened. There was poverty. And then that started to change. In the 50s, 60s, another generation grew up, which were the war babies, who became a bit more strict, and they had to build, they had to really like go back to the basics, and they were very proud of their roots. And of course, Christianity and institutionalized religions or religious institutions played a huge role in that. Now, what happened in the 60s, 70s is that there was a new generation. They did not live through the wars, and they did not even get involved in the building again. Money was not so tight anymore, so there was a bit of money to spend, and they just had enough. And this is how the 70s came to be, the 60s, 70s. And people said, okay, we had all this shit, and we don't want this anymore. Now, what was the reason? And one of the reasons they found was religion. This problem was already kind of hinted at back in the 1800s by romanticists who always contrasted belief in the one God and going to church, which was a very strict belief, with the freedom of the Greco-Roman polytheism, which was nature-based. Now, that sort of feeling went on until, the 1940s, 1950s, when a certain guy called Gerald B. Gardner founded this religion called witchcraft. Well, he called it witchcraft. He called the people who adhere to this religion witches, and he called the group of witches that adhere to witchcraft as a religion the Wicca. And this is how the Wicca as a religion came to be. And that was a very forward-thinking thing. Now, when people started going east, started exploring India and gurus and different branches of Hinduism, Wicca was already polytheistic and open to polytheistic ideas. When people decided that, okay, well, we had a male god and we had these wars, so what about a goddess? What about a female god? What if God was a woman? Maybe if we believed in a goddess, then that would be more constructive. And of course, a dying god is death, and a goddess would give birth and therefore be more connected to life. This is how the goddess movement started. And all these were already included in witchcraft. So that's how it became very popular. In the 70s, Raymond Buckland, no, sorry, in the late 60s, Raymond Buckland and his wife went back to the United States and took Gardnerian Wicca with them, and they were very prolific in spreading this religion. Other people came to outer court rituals and outer court seminars and courses. They learned stuff about the Wiccan way, and then they started taking that into other pagan paths. And this basically blew witchcraft up a lot, and this is how it all became very popular. And of course, it's very popular today because it seems to be an easy way to get what you want if you believe in such a thing. Now, of course, this was always a thing, like recipe books of magic. That was the old time equivalent of what we have as witch talk. You know, TikTok witches who share their recipes for how to get the hunkiest guy in the school as a love interest. So this also makes witchcraft very popular, but we are hoping to get the original witchcraft religion popular in Hungary as well.
But how can we define and measure paranormal belief? We know that there is no consensus as far as the name is concerned. In scientific literature, sometimes it is often described as false, pseudoscientific, supernatural, magical, superstitious, or irrational beliefs. In the 1990s, the agreement was born related to what can be called as paranormal. It should meet three requirements. 1. It cannot be explained by current scientific theory. 2. It cannot be explained without major revisions of scientific theory. And 3. It frustrates our familiar expectations as to what sort of things can happen to an object involved in the phenomenon. The revised Paranormal Belief Scale, RPBS, is the tool scientists currently use to measure paranormal belief. It uses a 7-point scale where 1 means I strongly disagree and 7 means I strongly agree. There are 26 statements related to 7 factors about religious beliefs, psychic powers, witchcraft, superstitions, spiritualism, extraordinary life forms, and precognition. Saddie, having a look at these 7 areas, I think we can confidently say that in many movies and television series today, these topics are very popular too. Can you find a great example and a terrible example where you met some of them?
Oh dear, yes, yes. I have seen great and terrible examples in movies. My main concern is that whenever we're talking about witchcraft in popular culture, witches are, well, they tend to be shown as Satanists or evil, or at least not very concerned with other people's well-being, which is very incorrect. Witches are not Satanists. We believe in the goddess and the god, the moon goddess and the antlered or horned god, and there is no dogma concerning this. So if you want to believe that in them as symbols for the 2 poles of creation, that's fine. If you want to actually believe in them as entities, that's also fine. But these are the beliefs that we are holding, and Satan is just not part of it. You can believe in Satan, but you just don't have to, and it's not a big thing for us. There are very good movies about how demonology and how summoning demons work. There is a new movie that came out called the Goetia Diaries. Well, new movie. It came out a few years ago. That's a very good movie about how someone starts working with goetic entities and then loses control. The end is a bit iffy, but generally it's not a bad movie. Then there was a dark song which dealt with the Abramelin ritual, and at the end she achieved the knowledge and conversation of her holy guardian angel, and that shows quite well how you actually work a ritual for days and days and days, and you will have anomalies, and you will have mental breakdowns, you will have a lot of things that will happen to you while doing a ritual, and none of these will be scientifically proven, but they will give you some sort of experience, and that is very well shown in that movie. And of course, if for nothing else, there are a lot of movies that give examples of what sort of magics there are. There was a movie about the book box. There are movies about the Ouija board. Now there's a movie about tarot, which is completely inaccurate, but that can give someone incentive to look into tarot and how it works. So, and this is my experience with the movies.
Christopher Partridge, who is a professor at Lancaster University and co-director of the Center for the Study of Religion and Popular Culture, calls the paranormal esoteric and occult ideas, motives and practices represented by the means of media as occulture. During the last decade, the growth of paranormal reality TV and the ghost hunting shows clearly reflects a transit of the paranormal topic from the margins to mainstream. This is corresponding to the belief in paranormal phenomena. Polls around the world indicate that 50% of the global population believe in at least one paranormal phenomenon, such as ESP, hauntings, or witchcraft. Many other studies indicate that it is not only the paranormal beliefs, but also the corresponding experiences and activities are widespread. Consulting a psychic or a medium, contacting a spirit, practicing astrology, visiting a haunted place, and so on. If we have a look at the details of the findings, we can see that, for example, married individuals are less likely to have paranormal beliefs or report paranormal experiences than the unmarried. Attending religious services about once a month has a positive relationship with paranormal beliefs and experiences, in contrast to those who attend church less or more often. Some studies found that women are generally more prone to accept paranormal beliefs than men, but men are more willing to accept belief statements about UFOs, extraterrestrials, or cryptids. Women are more prone to believe that they have been abducted by aliens. Poor people tend to believe in psychic powers and ghosts, while richer population is more prone to self-report having had out-of-body experiences. Saddie, I know you lived abroad. Now you live in Hungary. You have some experience in speaking with different cultures. What can you share with me about the differences you saw in beliefs, experiences, practices, communities, or even resources in this area?
Yes, indeed, I have lived in the Netherlands and I have traveled, well, basically throughout most of Europe. And what I found that was distinctly different between Hungary and the rest of Europe, especially the western part, because in the eastern part we do have the same issues, but in the western part, the main difference is possibilities. So if you go to Germany, if you go to Austria, if you go to the Netherlands, if you go to Belgium, if you go to France, well, maybe not in France because that's a different story, but most of the places you can just find Gardnerian Wicca, you can find the Freemasons, you can find Thelemites, you can find the Golden Dawn. There are all these mystery cults that do accept newcomers. You can find grimoire magicians, you can find a lot of things. And in Hungary, basically now, there's us. I left in 2006. I came back in 2022. Everyone whom I've known for years and years and years told me, "Oh my God, it's so great that you are back because there's just nothing. Ever since you left, there's nothing." So that is one of the things. And because of that, the people's way of looking at these possibilities that they have is very different. So, for example, if you want to teach magic in Hungary, there will be a few people who come, but they will take it very seriously. So, if you tell them, okay, do this practice every day, they will most likely actually do it and then come back to you with information of what they experienced, how they did, what happened to them, how they felt about it. If you tell people to do something for a week every day in, let's say, the Netherlands, they will be upset. How dare you? You are not a school teacher and they are not school children. You're not supposed to give them homework. You're supposed to tell them what they want to hear, and that's it. And yeah, I mean, in Hungary, being part of an initiatory mystery religion is, well, it's not that big a thing. But if you tell people that you have been working with, let's say, the Kabbalah for 30 years, that will mean something to them. In the Netherlands, if you say, yeah, I've been working with the Kabbalah for 30 years, they will say, okay, so how many books did you write? Who do you know? And anyway, I have talked to several Kabbalah teachers who are published authors, and well, why would I believe you? So it's a very, very different way of working. Another thing that I noticed is that people do have folk traditions, and they tend to have folk traditions from before Christianity. In Hungary, we do not have that. We have romantic recreations of what some people believe were the folk traditions of Hungary, but that's not true. We have people talking about Hungarian myths and legends, which are basically things that they found in the region of the old Soviet Union, up in the Ural, but those are not specifically Hungarian. Those are more Slavic myths and legends, and that's it. The only thing that we know about ancient Hungarian religion is that they put out offerings at rivers and at crossroads. And we only know that because Andrew, who was the son of Stephen, basically put out a law that you're not supposed to do that. So this is the only thing that we know about ancient Hungarian religion. So whenever we are asked, okay, how do you connect to the religions of your ancestors, we always have to say, well, only by the land, which is an acceptable answer, but it's radically different than what people can say who know the religion of their ancestors.
Finally, I would like to bring another topic here. Some sociologists and theologians call it desecularization or counter-secularization. They claim that we live in a post-secular society. We are witnessing a spiritual revolution. They assume a return of religion and spirituality in one way or another. New religious movements, cults, New Age, alternative spirituality, charismatic congregations, and others, they are all bordering the paranormal. Others argue that we can observe a general process in which there is a shift of authority from without to within, from the outside to the inside. It goes hand in hand with the decline of the belief in pre-given order of the things and the crisis of the institutional religion. Modern people are more interested in their own subjective experiences, where they can embrace their states of consciousness, states of mind, memories, emotions, passions, dreams, and so on. Some researchers also say that religious and paranormal beliefs are both subsets of supernaturalism. Both areas can give the three big B's to their communities: belonging, belief, and behavior. Some also argue that paranormal beliefs, activities, and experiences have frequently been approached as indicators of alternative religion and spirituality in general. In my book, published in 2023, titled Demonology, Psychology of Evil Spirits, I designated a chapter to this domain, and I arrived to a similar conclusion. Saddie, what do you think about this?
Well, I'm not sure about that. The practices always existed, and there was always something of state-sanctioned magic, usually had to do with the official pantheon or the official god, and then it usually had a different name. So, like, it was called creating miracles, or asking the gods about something or for something. And then there was the folk practices, and folks would go and talk to different gods. They would go and use stuff that was around them to achieve the desired results. In Egypt, they would start worshipping the Ethiopian god Bes, the god of fertility, a dwarf god with a very large penis, because they could get into contact with that sort of idea of fertility and land and wealth way easier than they could with the official gods that were more of a nobility based and nobility focused pantheon. So this always happened. Now, even while the communism was the regime in Hungary, people did have witchcraft already. Now, what is happening now is that from one way, we have better and better science, and that has been going on since the Enlightenment. The scientific method is giving us better answers, and we are getting more and more humble about it as well. Because, well, let's just say that Victorian scientists in England were not very humble at the beginning of the 20th century, and they had a lot of stupid ideas about spirituality as well as any other things like biology, physics, because they were like, okay, well, I know best, which is not really a way to approach science. So now we have better and better science, and because of that, we are thinking of magic and witchcraft in a different way as well. But there is an emerging thing, which is anti-intellectualism, which is a really scary thing for me. People lost belief in science because they don't know what science is, and they don't know how science works. And spirituality is coming back because of anti-intellectualism, which means that it's not really the actual spirituality that's coming back. It's not having a better understanding of spiritual matters. It's not having a better understanding of magic that is becoming more popular, but magic and religion as a way that is against science, so that is opposed to science. And that is a very scary thought for me. Of course, yes, we do have the social aspect. We do have a whole generation that is basically isolated physically. And it's very interesting because even millennials have reported the concept that they consider someone who just calls them on the phone a bit of a psychopath. No, we first write to a person on Messenger, "Are you available?" And then when they answered, "Yes, I am available and we can talk," then you call them, because you don't just spring a phone call on anyone. Now, in the old days, calling each other on the phone was like completely normal. And because of the hyper connectedness and hyper isolatedness of our era, people would way prefer to talk in writing or in voice messages, because, well, writing is hard, but I don't want to call the others, so I'm just sending a voice message. Then they can listen to it at their own convenience, and then they can answer at their own convenience. And in, well, a society like this, miracles and personal experiences and personally experienced anomalies, of course, become more pronounced because there is very little shared experience. If you see three kids sitting next to each other, they will be on their phones, which means that they will not have a lot of shared experience of the physical world, but they will have shared experiences of the memes that they share with each other online. They will have shared experiences of TikToks that they share with each other. And they will only experience anomalies and spirituality when they are alone and when they are accidentally not looking at their phones. So I think this whole thing has to do with that as well.
Thank you for joining me today, Saddie. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you, everyone who listened, and hope to talk to you soon. Have a lovely day. Blessed be.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention. This was the first episode of Mysterium Tremendum with your host Balazs Polyanki and special guest Saddie LaMort. Please expect more activities arriving from our end in English. We are really looking forward to hearing from you. If you want to share your experiences with us or collaborate with us, please do not hesitate to drop us a line. You can find us at hsprc.org. Do you believe in the paranormal? Regardless of where you stand in this question, let me share our slogan with you. Keep questing.